Hello, I am Dr. Brenda Jane Power. Doctor represents the metaphysics, the nature of being. And we are glad to have you here today on the Medicine Woman Soultion show. And this is where the I'm teaching you about how your soul has the answers. We do readings. You can have a free one if you've never had one before, or if you'd like to purchase one, you can. But at the same time, we're going to talk about the first, 45 minutes or so about Spirit Speaks. We're going to talk about today is this mystic path. We are not just humans. We are spiritual beings that come into human form. And so you have matter and you have spirit. Now, equally, we should have this integration that occurs. Now, what I notice happens is that once we're here, we download what our families think, our society, our culture, where we live, all of these different ingredients come into play. But when you finally get to, especially on your own, when you're in the modeling, no, I'd say in the socializing years, and before you're turn 30, there is this part of you that's seeking not just socializing and modeling and demonstrating and being, but you are more than this. And the question is, what's that? What is this? What is the this? And you can ignore or follow through with the way your soul begins to urge you to start following the path that your soul contract started to write. And you'll begin to wake up and go, wait a minute, I don't really want to live my life like this. And a lot of people at this point start to feel like they're in a midlife crisis because the life up to that point was based on environmental choices from people. And it came from your family or your church or your whatever, okay? But then you will wake up. And as we begin to wake up, it can be confusing between what? Well, I'm here to help you understand this what. Now, for years, I went through the same path that you're going through, and I've gotten to the point now I'm on my mystic path. I am on this part that is working with the higher self. So you have a higher mind and a lower mind, okay? You have the spiritual part, and then you have the conditioned part. And your brain helps you to survive this moment. It's always scanning and predicting. And so a lot of our physical problems is because we're like, oh, yeah, I already know how to do this. I got to hold my breath or I got to yell. I got to do this. I got to do that. And the brain has said that we've been conditioned and we're like, oh, well, it's their fault. That's not the conditioning I'm referring to. Hi, thank you. And what I'm referring to is this part of you that says, I'm here. Now, that here is your spirit saying, I need to see more. I need to see more. But you may not understand what you're seeing. So every day you wake up in this conditioned process to either get approval or to control. Okay, so yin and yang are separated to get approval or get control or both, or depending on the situation, the signatures, and the people. Now, as a healer, it is seeing that, the whole broad spectrum of all of what it is. We are energy. We're electromagnetic beings. The first time I heard that was like, what? We're electrical or magnetic? Because I was taught to think that we're parts, that we're not, we're this, we're that. But we have a pulse, we have a soul, we have this life force that runs through us. And again, who is hi, thank you, is doing the conditioning. Who or what is doing the conditioning? And it's like, wait. So again, let's say you've decided to feel your soul's urge, and you have people that you used to just agree upon. You may be a people pleaser, or you had to change yourself, alter yourself to fit in, but you don't want to do that anymore. You want to make choices and you want to evolve. And that's the big difference, is to evolve or to alter yourself. Now you can learn how to um, fit in certain situations, is not a problem, as long as you don't lose yourself. But what if you never knew yourself in the beginning at all? So all of that work of building your life, and you look around and go, wait a minute, is this the life I've built, or somebody told me, oh, you were good at, or that this is what you should be going into? When my boyfriend died, it took me, like, I was just completely in shock. Next thing you know, from high school to being in college, and I'm going and doing accounting with marketing because that's what my dean said. And that would be the best thing for me. And it's like, but I'm not really a math person. There's a difference between, you know, it isn't right or wrong. It is preferences and choices. And I'm more of an art person, more of an expressive person, more, I can do math. It's not the problem. It's just that it's not my flavor. And I realized how unhappy I would be to be constantly doing this 24/7. So I decided, okay, what do I want to be? And as I started to switch majors or do something different, I've got everybody telling me that's wrong, you shouldn't, and it's in the end, was I happy or unhappy? I didn't want to be unhappy anymore. So when I decided to look at my life, I looked at the knowledge that I had. And I looked at all of my actions, my deeds, my habits. And when I know when I do, is it who I really want to be? So when my soul basically said no, you feel like you're insane, you feel like you have to have frustration, and it's like, wait a minute, why am I doing this? And then when I realized that I was taking it personal, subjective reality, taking it personal. And I said, is that what I've learned? Is that I'm always supposed to take it personal, be the victim, to be hurt, that my nerves are too sensitive, or I'm taking and my feelings are too hurt, or however it is. And I said, how? How do I stop that? Let people be people, but how do I stop having to feel hurt by something? And well, long story short, here I am with all these tools. And as I walk this path and I changed my scalar field, which is, this is my orbit, this is my aura, this is my space. And the shared space was so conditioned to respond this way, be this way, all of these ways. And I said, but is it the way that my spirit wants to be? So the question then is, who's in charge? Who's the one that's judging? Oh, I can't do this. I'm not going to do that. And I have because and my excuses. And I said, well, one, you can hear the story. Two, it is from the conditioned mind, my lower mind. Conditioned means if I'm going to learn how to drive a car, I need to know what a car looks like. I have to decide which one I want, a small, big truck, what do I want? Then once I have the key, where does it go? And some don't even have keys now. How do you start it? How do you maneuver it? How do you control it? What are these for? Do I have to do this? What do I pay attention to? There's so much going on. And when you first start to learn, it can be very intimidating. But this is the beautiful part, though. This is where we get lost. The brain, no matter what condition you're doing or what you're doing in as far as an event or anything, it is scanning, it's looking, It's actually resolving. We live an unscripted life, meaning we may have certain scripts where we get up, we go to school, and we come home and we eat and we use the bathroom, but there's unscripted parts. And are you able to go with the flow, or do you need to control? Do you lose power and need approval? Well, the brain will sit there and when you're exercising, it's looking for efficiency. So the brain will go, okay, this is what we know. Oh, error, not quite an error, but how else would you say, that's not quite right? So then it'll back it up and then it'll practice. And then as you practice, all of a sudden you become more efficient. So if I wanted to train to run, or do a decathlon or however it is, I got to practice all of these different events, right? And so I may be clumsy at first, and then I learn how to use the muscles, and then I learn how to breathe, and I learn how to move, and then I become very good at this. So I start out great, but I can become greater and I can be more proficient. And so then the brain goes, aha, we've learned, okay, and we're taking action, we're getting feedback, and then we do the corrections, and then we take the action again. And so it doesn't see it as failure. Just imagine if you're sitting in a movie set and all of a sudden, take one, and you don't get it right, or you get it right, but somebody else doesn't, because there's all these moving pieces. Or the director goes, oh, that was good, but I need something else. And all of a sudden, take two. Now, if you were to go off and go, oh, you took it personal. What about, oh, I've done it wrong. They hate me. They're not going to have me back. Listen to that thought. Where did those thoughts come from? I don't think it came from your heart or your spirit self, your higher mind. It came from your lower mind. So who's doing the judging? Your programmed, conditioned self. You took it personal. You did a knee jerk. You couldn't solve it. Okay, you couldn't solve it, resolve to evolve. You couldn't do that. Oh, hi, thank you. But what did you do? You went into a program. You went in. So your lower conditioned mind created a problem, built the story around the feedback, around the corrections. Then you started to live as that. Well, what if I told you that you, as your spiritual self, can start having a mystic path and realize that as you're living by your soul's urge, that you don't have to take it personal, that you can use tools to tap it out if you do, and stop doing knee-jerk reactions. Oh my God, I gotta say I'm sorry, or all these things. Oh, you can stop this. You can be in charge of the emotions. You can be in charge of the program. Because as Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. But if you were to open up and begin to realize that you are spirit first, human second, and you learn to tap into that spirit part of you, balanced brain, unified, yin and yang, then you can live a mystic life. You can live a very happy life. You will be bothered by nothing, enjoy everything. So as I began to heal my knee-jerk reactions, or the lower self conditioned, programmed mind that says I'm supposed to take offense to that, I'm supposed to do this, I'm coming and taking the pen away from my conditioned mind, not necessarily taking the pen away from someone, but all there is interference patterns. You'll either be in sync or out of sync, okay? But when you begin to understand that you have an orbit, an aura, and you have an inner net, the inner net, okay, your inner part of you, and you start to connect with the outer world, you have this ability to stop and say, wait a minute, am I coming from my programmed, conditioned lower self mind that we've already been here, done that, and I have a problem. I'm in conflict. Oh, there goes my one. And because of this, I can't solve the problem with the same mind that created it. So my conditioned mind has judged this and said, there's a problem. And does it really need to have a problem? No. But we, as spirit beings, don't realize that we are the program, and that program is telling us that we're supposed to take offense, that we're supposed to do this, we're supposed to do that. We can take our pen back from our programmed self. We don't have to be our stories. We don't have to be our pains and suffering. I have been doing this long enough now to change and balance the brain, change and balance the physiology of the body. And I'm teaching other people how to do it. I am more happier now because I don't have to believe my programs that says I'm supposed to be hurt when I hear that tone, or I'm supposed to respond in a very negative way because that is the real thing. I am not my programmed self. I am my higher self. And as I am my higher self, I am going to be in charge of what it is that I'm using. So I'm going to use discernment. I don't have to be my story for social interaction. I can do something else. You with me? You hearing this? I don't have to be bothered by nothing, and I can enjoy everything. When I began to heal my scalar field, this is the shared relationship between my orb and their orb. And as these two orbs cross over, you have the then difference. I'm not sure why this didn't stay working, but there's this shared space. And within that shared space, it's supposed to be the sameness, right? Well, not necessarily. It is all the programs, the conditioned self, the lower self that says, I'm supposed to seek approval or I have to control. No, here is the problem. If I'm seeking approval, who's doing that? It's the program self. So my spirit's not even involved. If I'm controlling, I have to control or I'm going to lose my crap. I have to control because I'm overwhelmed. I have to control because this hurts me. You with me so far? I have to, right? No, you don't. Once you start to balance the brain, once you start to become your mystic self, once you start to realize that I don't have to, because in this creative, unscripted life, I can show up as my spiritual self and not my conditioned self. Because the conditioned self says, oh my God, a problem. Oh my God. But your spirit self is going, oh, that's an unscripted life. But hey, guess what? I'm a resolver. And that part of me goes, well, it happens. And I'm going to look. And in the mystic path, you get to see higher, bigger answers than you would from if in your conditioned mind says, it's going to cost me. It's going to do this. I'm going to lose all my time. Oh my God, I can't have a life today. I can't be happy. That's your programmed self. I'm correcting that. I'm doing my best to get it started. And so who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? So you do what you know, and what you're doing is all of your deeds, your habits, and actions. But if you were to be your spiritual self and chose to walk down the mystic path, you will become your higher self. You will let your higher self be in charge. You will notice if you're taking a knee-jerk reaction, you're going to notice that you've taken it personal and you have this story and you are all of these things, the programmed self. So every time you meet something and have to do something that is not in the program path, we have trained ourselves to see that we are victims. This is a chore. I don't want to do this. Oh my God. Why? Do we have to keep doing this? This is what we learned. Why? So we get to, who's the we? My higher self. And it's not this artsy fartsy thing. It's not this, woo woo thing. This is a normal part of what it means to be a spiritual human. To be human without your spirit is just a program. You'll be an echo of yourself, and life usually will take a crap on you. But if I increase my knowledge and I start to do my habits differently, then I will stake and make a commitment every day instead of listening to my lower self conditioned habit, people, part of program. What? You're all these personalities. You're all these. So let's say I do tribal basics. Tribal basics is how I balance my aura field, and I kick energies out, and I learned so that this energy space in my brain is balanced. I am my fixed state. I am my higher self, and I go and do this habit, and then I then start to, I got to do it every day. Ugh, I don't want to do it this morning. First of all, who's judging that? That's a judgment. But who's doing it? You are, but which you? The program self or your higher self? Oh, well, I'm glad you got here, Davin. So, again, can you tell when you're judging yourself or judging others or judging the situation? That is your program self. And when you take it personal, and if they threw intently that it was personal, then you just gave them your pen. But if they are taking it personal, throwing it all over, and you realize that the interference pattern is that you're supposed to change yourself to fit in, or you balance your physiology, you balance yourself so that you evolve with this energy. You do not have to become victim to that energy. And when you see this, again, bothered by nothing and enjoying everything, it's not that you're heartless, but you can look and you can make a decision. Do you need to follow that interference pattern? Do you need to change yourself to fit in because you believe that you need to seek approval, or that you need to control? Because if they're out of control and you have to control it so that you can have a happy life, then you are your programmed self. I want you to be your higher self. I want you to be your spiritual self. I want you to be able to use discernment. And discernment is walking up to it and deciding if you want to give your power away to one thing or the other. But when life begins to flow with your spiritual self, with your soul being in charge, you can enjoy everything and you get to have answers to everything, regardless of what unscripted life shows up. Oh, why does my water pipe have a hole in it? Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Is that my program self or my higher self? Is it judging or using discernment? If you're like, I have no money, I can't do this, that's your program self. My higher self is, okay, thank you, spirit. All right, how do we fix this? I'm a resolver, and I've learned to become more of a resolver. So I looked at it and I noticed that my birds are wanting to lay eggs. Now, I think there's a blue-tongued lizard coming and eating the eggs or something. So I've decided that it needs a box, a little nesting box, and it needs to be put someplace. Now, I looked at some of the quality of some of these things, and it's like, no, it's going to be chewed on and destroyed in no time. So I said, Spirit, I didn't go, oh, I don't have any money, I can't do this. No, I just sat there in vision reality with my higher self and said, the unscripted part is that I'm creative. Show me what, show me. And the next thing you know, I found a flower box and I designed it and cut it and everything and filled it so that now it has a nesting box was with the quality, not so it doesn't break down as fast. And I've got it in the air so that it doesn't have to worry about getting destroyed. Okay. So I resolved. But that's because I chose to decide, do I want my lower self or do I want my higher self to be in charge? Now, SBM, if you want, you can go to YouTube. I'm recording there. Or you can go over to the other TikTok account, which is Dr. Brenda. Or you can go to Facebook, my personal page. But anyway, if you want to rewatch this again, you come on over to YouTube and follow, and also that you can subscribe and whatever you need to do if you want to re-listen to it again. I have over 700 videos with knowledge that's in them, so that you can help support yourself on your path. So again, what have you been hearing? Good. So, what have you been hearing? That there's how many parts of you? There's lots of parts of you. You're not just a part. You don't have to focus on just one part. We had grown up in a society, a world where you are to see things, and I think it's Darwin's reality or whatever, somebody's philosophy, that we're supposed to do everything as parts, keep spirit over there and keep your matter over here. But we are both spirit and matter. And when you bring spirit and matter together, you are a spiritual human. But when you bring spirit together, it isn't about bringing a penis god into reality. It's not sitting there saying that we have to have somebody else's belief about what it's a punishing in this. No, this is not even a unification. When you return to love and when you are working with your feeling of love and you're connecting to that higher space of love, you will feel this wholeness. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Marie. Okay, so you got to decide, right? Well, who's going to decide? Are you going to have your lower self decide that is in pain and suffering and has these stories, or are you going to use your higher self that follows love? But if you can't think, we balance the brain. If you can't really, because life, you balance the body. Your inner world creates your outer world. And if you are letting your inner world programs control your outer world that's unscripted at times, then you are going to live a conditioned life. I want you to choose to listen to your soul, and I want you to understand there is a mystic path that you take. It sounds completely different than your conditioned self. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to heal yourself. I want you to start changing your beliefs. You do not have to be conditioned by, what do you guys call it now? Inherited karma or inherited, what do you guys call it? And so when you think of karma, it's a cause and reaction, cause and effect. Now, most people stand on the effect side of the equation and become a victim. Some people are on the cause side and play also the effect side. But what you're having is interference patterns. And the more that I started to learn, especially this new healing tool, which is to take something that's already there and look at it from another angle, a different perspective. And I call it pH balancing, which is the physiology. Generational trauma, that's what it is. And it's physiology. And we can tap into, or generational curse. You can tap into the way the brain and the spine communicate with the body. We can change the electrical, the interference patterns, the magnetic fields, because SP helps us change the magnetic fields. These healing tools may be separate, but they all work as one. But it helps you to return to your higher self. It helps you return to the higher mind. And you don't have to be your program self. Now, you're not doing away with your program self. You don't have to figure out how to go to the bathroom. Let those programs work unless your environment has affected it and changed your DNA. Then we have to go in and help the body to change from the having to be conditioned to always remember and predict that it has to show up this way. I want you to make a commitment, not a promise. If you sit there and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and then you go to do it and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. What's the point? Is that your higher self or your conditioned mind? You need to train yourself to see the difference. And when you realize that you're judging, and who's judging? It's the lower self. Why would you give so much power to your programs? And another way to do it would be that when I'm giving readings, what age are you being? What age had you solved the issue, your first solve? Was it your 3-year-old self that's running your show? Or hadn't been able to program itself to go beyond this emotion of arrested development? It's great that we have labels because, man, I'll tell you, I had pain, pain, pain. Finally, they told me what was going on in my spine, and I'm like, oh, finally an answer. But I didn't just take the answer and feel like the victim. I then said, I need to resolve this. I was considered scoliosis. I don't have that now. I don't need these labels. I used to have anxiety. I don't need those labels now. Why? Because I've changed the physiology. I changed the electromagnetic field. I changed my brain. I balanced it. I began to learn to listen to my higher mind, not my program self. And when you are sitting there, how many times if you were like going back to the movies and you're acting and the director says, cut, retake, I failed. No, do it again. Action, feedback, correction, action. And each time you do it, you become skilled, proficient, because you didn't know what you didn't know until you know it. And then you're like, ooh, yeah. I'm going to incorporate that. You're taking the feedback. But if you're used to hearing people deliver it with force, anger, pain, suffering, and then like, oh, damn, that hurts. Your programmed self or higher self, conditioned self, or your higher self, your lower self or your higher self judged it. Who did it? Your lower self. Your story. You put a story to the feedback. Oh my God, man, at least I can't take. And as soon as you take it personal, so as soon as, let's say you're in school and all of a sudden the teacher, has she's talking about names and she's talking about how some of them are silly names and she's trying to teach these differences, but she can't get to this knowledge yet. So she has to make a reference point and she goes, oh yeah, and silly names like, and then she said your name. What? We took it personal. We have a knee-jerk reaction. Our conditioned self said that was bad, right, and wrong. Oh my God. So that was the lower self judging and then started to put a story to it. And then you can suck the energy and all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of minions that are going, oh my God, bad teacher. And everybody's like going, oh, you victim. I'm not victim shaming. I want you to understand what you did with your energy. You are responsible for your energy field. You are an interference pattern. But I will also tell you that if you keep healing and changing that scalar field that says, oh, I'm always supposed to show up this way, for instance, I go home and I'm always turned into my 14-year-old self around my mother. Why does that always happen? Well, it's your programmed self. But you can change this. And the weird part is I can't really teach it until you commit to learning it, using the tools, and then see. I mean, I've got quite a few students or clientele that go and going, okay, I'm learning about knee-jerk reaction. Oh, okay. Oh my God, I had a knee-jerk reaction. This is the way I'm eating. Oh my God, knee-jerk reaction. I was apologizing. A knee-jerk. And they're starting to catch this. I says, let's heal these knee-jerks. So we go in and we start changing the story, the feedback. the pain, the suffering, the over identifying with matter. We changed the meaning, the definitions, and we changed them emotionally. So we start changing it spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And as we begin to do so, we reinsert ourselves in the world again. And the people that we normally would show up and have this signature, and we have to show up and give our power away, all of a sudden doesn't happen because you don't have the 41 thoughts of driving you crazy and blah, blah, blah. You're like, yeah, no. And now these people are still showing up as the program, and you're starting to see how everybody shows up the only way they know how. And as you do, you start growing. Now they can grow with you, or they may try to pull you back down. But if you've healed the core, the root, you can't be pulled down. You will have to say, okay, I'll have to be okay to lose my family and friends because we no longer in like-minded. And it's not even just not like-minded, because interference patterns is that when you both bump in together, and it is the yin or the yang, and then it's like one has to be submissive and one has to be aggressive, one has to be approval, the other one has to be controlling. But if you decide that you don't want these, hi everybody, and if you decide that you don't want to show up as these programs but is your higher self, you will learn that you'll be bothered by nothing and you'll enjoy everything. We lose power and we don't even know it. Exactly. And that's what I'm here to teach you. Healing the knee-jerk action helps so much. It changes the way people show up in the scalar field. Yes, because you're like, I can predict that they're going to show up this way. But if you change here, you change the definitions, you change the meanings, you change the stories. And when you really change the emotional root and your brain starts to balance, the brain then starts to predict differently because you don't have that particular same pattern. And when the interference pattern kicks off, you don't have to match and mirror or take the shape to which it is said. You show up. And when you do show up, when you do show up, you'll show up by holding space for yourself. You start showing and holding up to hold space for them. I watched somebody go and I watched an interference pattern come in. You know, we can call those allergies, or we can call it about how, oh, the light was bothering them or the sound of someone's voice. But however it is, the physical body just physiology started to take shape, and so did the emotions. And I'm like, what just happened? But because I had changed my scalar field, I didn't show up the way I normally do. I held space in a different way for myself and for them. And then the turnaround time for them goes, oh gosh, I don't know what bothered me. And then, you know, I like, we can investigate, spiritual investigation. We can use a healing tool. But you do not have to fall for everything. You don't have to believe your own BS. You don't have to. Because who's in charge? Who's doing the judging? Who's doing the hating? Your conditioned lower self. And again, you can't solve the problem with the same mind that created it. So if you understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and your higher self, that means you're not over identifying. You can use discernment. Your brain is balanced. Your brain goes, okay, so here's my action. We got feedback, whether it's interference, good or bad. And then I have to do the corrections. And then I do the action again. Now, if you were to realize that you are not altering yourself, but evolving yourself in an unscripted life, meaning I know it's scripted. I have to go to the bathroom. I have to eat. I have to work. I have to do this. But the unscripted part, as it shows up, whether you have a pipe that burst or your car broke down or you got a noisy neighbor, your reaction, is it coming from your higher self Or is it coming from a programmed self? Oh, I saw my mother or my father get mad because they don't have money, and now we have a problem, and we always have a problem. And oh my God, you hear belief systems, you hear excuses, you hear reasonings, you hear a story, you hear an epigenetic, you hear monkey see, monkey do, and you do this. That is, you can't solve the problem with the same mind that created it. So if you happen to see it and understand it, have the same definitions, and your brain and you are out of balance, you are going to have what kind of life? A victim life, a program life, a hated life. What? I wanted to have a happy life. So for me, I changed the knowledge. I changed the way my brain showed up. I changed the energies of my body. I changed my definitions, my stories. And now I'm bothered by nothing and enjoy everything. And the moment I do get bothered, I'm in a live experience. I stop as my spiritual self, observing my human self program, and say, wait a minute. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to measure it, 10 being the worst. And I'm going to disrupt that pattern and take charge of my life, because that's my new program. And every day we go to sleep, our brain basically gets washed, and the glial cells come in and take away the things that you didn't record, think about over and over and over. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. And you come back, and the REM sleep, everything just kind of refreshes and allow yourself to have a new day. But if your programmed self, helps you get up, helps you move, helps you do things, but if you are not in charge of your emotions, of your stories, of your reactions, and in the way that you communicate with your higher self, and you are going to just be echoes. You're going to be in this lost and vulnerable state and these emotional upheavals. But that is a life of choice. And when you don't understand that you are a higher self and a lower self, you're the conditioned mind or you're the higher self, you do not have to. You will actually learn how to do a choice point. You'll get right here. I can act like I know, like I did before. How I do anything is how I do everything. Or I can change that pattern by using healing tools and change the root. Where in the old case, if the higher self wasn't there, I don't like this. I'm going to take the choice point and I'm going to try this, try something new. But you're doing it within the same mind that created it. How's that working for you? Same shit, different day. It is when you tap into the root and you balance the brain, you balance the physiology, and your higher self then can become in charge and discern what it wants to choose. And when you realize you don't have to fall for it, take the bait, or take it personal, which is subjective reality. And when you learn how to be in charge of that, you're walking the mystic's path and you bothered by nothing and you enjoy everything. And everybody around you is the one that's in chaos. You will be peace in the storm. You'll sit in your cup of peace while everything is in a storm. You'll be the story, like the man that sat there and here he is in his boat, the storm, it's rocky, he capsized, oh my God, but over here it's calm, so all the fishermen go over here, but this guy is the only one that catches fish in the storm. Why isn't he bothered? Why? Because he knows how to go with the flow. He doesn't have to use fear. He will catch all the fish, he'll make all the money, and over here everybody's like, what? No. I want you to learn that when you do. So I can sit in my cup of peace and the interference patterns are hitting off, but I don't have to take the shape of it. I'm not controlling the shape and I'm not projecting it out. I'm holding space. And it'll just kind of weave on by me. I can look at it or I can ignore it. The calm when everyone around you was in chaos. Yeah. Every day I do once a week I do my show. Once a week I do tribal, which is help others. in a more private setting. You can join. You can learn on your own. But if you're sitting there going, oh, I don't have time for this, is that your spiritual self or is that your lower self? Don't give your power away to your lower programs, your conditioned self. Take the pen back. And the next time you take offense, stop, be your higher self, use discernment and say, whoa, choice point. I'm going to measure that. I know it's less than love. I don't have to believe that, my own BS. I'm going to sit there and heal it out, whether you use an OMG, EFT, 6S, SP, or, the tools I have, the pH. Get your mind right by getting your brain balanced. So, and if you don't believe me, you can watch a lot of my old ones where all of a sudden they're looking and they're like, I'm a mess, blah, 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 blah. And I say, okay, let's rub these points, or let's hold this point here, or let's do, and all of a sudden they're like, whoa, especially the sensory eye accessing, ear accessing, energy accessing. When you change those, they're like, whoa, you changed the pictures, which changed the definitions, which changed the program. And when they go, oh my gosh, the before and after, no, I'm calm. I helped you come back to your higher self. Now, I can't actually help you stay in your higher self, but I'm helping you use your gift of awareness. And usually when people are like, whoa, I feel better, I'll say, do you want to go back to that? No! Make a commitment. Make a commitment, okay? All right. I hope you learned something from today. We're going to talk about more of this tomorrow in tribal, but that's only if you are in tribal. Okay. Somebody says, I miss myself. My brain is unbalanced. And this is one of the gifts. When you start to miss that spiritual higher self that's on the mystic path and you're listening to your soul. And you're like, you don't have to go, oh my God, she's gone forever. You have tools in your toolbox. And when you make the commitment to change it, then when you come out of that, you get this wisdom. And some of you are at a point now where you're realizing that the people around you are doing knee jerks or taking, you're sitting there and you're making it personal and all of these things. And yet you're not doing that anymore. And you see your friends and family do it. You're seeing the matrix. You busted out of the matrix. And now you have to hold space differently. Now, do you need approval? You're going to put yourself back to sleep? Or are you going to control it? You're doing it wrong. Let me judge a little bit more. We learn and respect on the mystic path. You learn and respect when you're in your higher self. Okay? All right. Thank you for joining me. And guess what I forgot to do is record. That's hilarious. Thank goodness it's on YouTube. So go on over to subscribe. We got over 700 videos that you can watch. And what am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking to see. So I know Amy's paid. And no, I don't think your comment went through, Davin. So you might want to try that again. And this is your opportunity. If you've never had a reading here before, you can have a free one. And if you want 5, 15, or 25, I can help you do healings, readings, whatever you want. It's up to you. So I have Amy Schmalz, and then I have April Lynn. So April Lynn wants a chat, and then Amy Schmalz wants to do the video. The video means you can come on audio or both audio and video, and we can do a live healing together. I will give back to you just like you give to me. So we're having a great energy exchange. You have she's doing chat, Miss April Lynn is. And if she's still here, we can do hers right now. And feedback is good. You go in the chat room and you have feedback, or you can have a smaller one. So, there's difference of time length difference. As far as doing any free readings or free healings, and like I said, if you have I given you one before, Michelle Gray? I don't think I have. Not sure. I'll look and see if my moderator has remembered. Oh, there she is. Okay, so if I haven't given you a free reading before, if I haven't done it before, then I can give you one. But if you can hold on, now you're important, but April Lynn has paid, and I'm going to expedite that. And so Spirit is what you're choosing. Now, let me open up my thing here. And let's get on to what her spirit wants her to know. Okay. And I need to find a different thing here. Okay. So did you like today's message about the mystic path? Okay. I feel like, yeah, you do. Now, what they're saying here is that there's a lot of subtle energies in the scalar field. Okay. And when I look at that and I say, you know what a scalar field is? And I said, tell me more about the subtle energy. And they go, well, when I'm self-conscious. So I says, are you seeking approval or wanting to control? And they go, I'm just learning to be. I said, okay. And sometimes I identify with being deficient, that I believe I can't do something based on the fact that signature is in front of me. Okay, you with me so far, Miss April Lynn? So there seems to be a set of an anxiety that is there. And I said, how so? And they says, because physically my body won't react a certain way. And I can't do certain things like I want to. So the environment has changed. So this is old anxiety. So that means that your programmed lower conditioned self has said, I got this. No, thank you, spirit. I've been here before. I've done that. This is how I'm going to show up. But it's to the subtle energies of how I could not tolerate energies coming from people. I said, okay, so let's look at it this way. It's connected to, I can't behave the way I want. So is that coming from your higher self or your program self? So if April Lynn would go, okay, wait a minute, my lower self, my conditioned self, is to say that I have to have anxiety, then that means that it's conditioned, but I don't have to believe that. I can't behave the way I want. I don't have to believe that, but I have worded it. I said, what age? So about 4.5 years old, I worded to help me understand what was going on in my environment. I need to behave the way they tell me because I can feel deficient. And maybe this is the ant thing. I feel deficient. I feel deficient. And I'm like, okay, so you're believing that you're deficient. Yes. So you're 4.5-year-old self. So that'll be the age of where you feel that you simply are believing. I want you to get this, people, not just her. I can't. But how do we know we can't? Because our little selves experienced a limitation. And it's stuck there. So part of her root is believing, and that belief is very strong because the body said, and this is more of the physiology, had said, I can't. So if we were to look at this, they said if you could measure, it is in the second chakra, so it's in relationships. And I have to alter myself, not evolve, but alter myself to fit in, to keep the peace. And there's nothing wrong with that. But now she's older. She doesn't have to give her pen away to her own programs. So there will be a part of her that will gaslight herself and says, I can't because it's them. I can't because I have to be with this person. I have to live with this person. I got to work with this person. I can't. Again, is that her higher self or is that her lower self? So if I said, if she were to realize that she's gaslighting herself based on the feeling, yeah, I got to live with this person. Yeah, I got to work with this person. And it's a belief system. You can measure this. And I'm asking now, is it about approval? Or is it needing to control? Now, if you need to control yourself so that you can get the approval, so that you can have peace, then understand this is the program. So you will make sure that you'll do like right wrist, third position, soft. And you're going to sit there and you're going to realize that you got to catch that you're gaslighting yourself based on your belief systems, the excuses, the reasonings, and the story. Based on you took action, got feedback, then you had to put a story there, and then the correction, you had to put a story there, and then you had to do the action again. We don't need to over-identify with matter. Your higher self can say, okay, I'm going to look at and heal out how I put self-imposed limitations when I see and feel these things. And I said, so what are these things? When I feel defensive, when I take it personal, and when I do, I have to correct myself to fit in. So I won't be attacked and I'll have peace. I said, well, what physiology that we need to address? And they said, well, it's in the spleen because my peace is gone. And I have to keep the peace I have. And I said, how about if we resolve and evolve instead of heal, instead of deal? And so now you're going to do and use your whatever, your little, because see, I've got one too. And I realized I could use this as a pointer. But you can tap on the spine. They want you to do T1, T5. Where's my big scale here? So they want you to be able to hold the a feeling that your peace is gone. And we can even check her spleen. And I will say, peace is gone. Oh, she's got, and it's incongruent. So she's no congruency. So she feels the conflict and her body has to go into, peace is gone. And then the body changes because the outside said so. Okay. And so she's losing power there. And it's based on peace is gone. So you will then take and tap at T1, which is right at the shoulders, T5, and then you got to do T9, which is down here. So it's like right where the nipple is. Okay. So there's a whole body chart here. So she's tapping on that. She's going to put her hand here. She's going to think peace is gone. She can measure that on the scale from 0 to 10. Now, the only way we really can get a good, healthy result on this is by energy work and to follow it through with your higher self. So anyway, she's going to tap and she's focusing on that and to change those frequencies. So now she's working on it on a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical level. And what will happen? Is there any more that I need to give her? They go, no. Now, she can then is going to be greeted with a test. April, you're going to be greeted with this test that the next time that these people show up, do you have to do automatically on autopilot, go into this conditioned process with the lower mind, judge it, and say, this is how I'm supposed to show up. And if we may have to do this again, not the same points, but follow the track. what happens? You're going to stand back and you're realizing, oh, I didn't take it personal. Now, this is where you get this growth. This is where you're going to get your power back, your life force back, so you can invest it somewhere else. And if, I don't know if she's doing it or not, but if we test it again, she wouldn't lose power. And it's like her statement is, I have the energy too. If she says, I have the energy to do this, it would go, no, she's an incongruence. And if I said it's because my piece is gone, what will happen is she losing power. And it's yes. Now, if she balances this, taps and does this, then she can take the phrase. And once she's really got to it, she goes, I have the energy too. And the body will say, yes, because I've taken it out of those programs. Hopefully that makes sense. All righty, let me look. Are you guys getting anything out of this? Now, Michelle, you said that you're still here. Again, if you want a pre-reading and if you've never had one before, you can have one. I'm going to have to switch this over. Where is it plugged in at? Oh, that's my headphones. Here it is. She gone? Oh, well, she must not really want it then. There's a delay everywhere. Hi, Ernie. How are you? Ah, there she is. All right. So spiritual investigation is that I'm looking and reading energy. I don't cross the line. Everything is done in a mirror. I'm in holding space, but I can read because your stuff is right there. So understand that if what I just did for the woman that paid, she has had one. Oh, okay. What I did with the woman that's paid has everything to do with a reading and a healing. But the healing has everything to do with applying your hands or your energy field or your focus or your intention into measure and to change it. So all I keep hearing is saying, hi, you had already a reading today or had one before. So, and what did Devin say? Did she got her new job yet? Where is Devin? I don't see it. So one of the things Davin said, she says, I'm always quiet and never change my tone or expression, emotion through voice. But here's the thing is even if you don't use your tone of voice, there's a voice in your head, a voice that has its own tone, a voice that has its own pitch. And so I have a question for you guys. So when you're reading a book, do you make the voices in your head? Let's say it's an Irish writer or it's one that has an accent. Do you change the voice in your head when you're reading to sound like that person? Or if you know the reader or the writer, you like if it's has to do with Dispenza, I know what he sounds like. So I will hear Dispenza reading to me, even if I'm the one doing the reading. Does that make sense? So the body bases changing based on the tone or the way you interpret that tone, the interference patterns. And the brain has no idea whether it's happening to you or to someone else. Okay? The brain just knows that you're here. And this is what is being seen, and this is what we're doing. But you can be in charge of everything. I change the voice in my head. Oh, that's good. Okay. Now, understand that So the tone that you have in the voice in your head. So if you're reading and someone's yelling, you have this expression that can be in your head. You may not necessarily do it in the physical, but there may be a different level to what you're doing. Be a way to. Oh, you guys are. I would have the. I'm not sure what that's about. Anyway, uh, for those that are living in Australia or New Zealand or in this time zone, we will have a time change. It won't affect the US. I will change my time of the show. So instead of me coming on at 10 a.m. in South Australia, I'll be coming on like right about now, 11 a.m. It won't affect you in the US, but it will if you are like in New Zealand or Australia in that different time zone. And so if you remember when you come over to YouTube, hit a thumbs up. If you like this program and you want to see more of this, then help support in some way. Um, Advertise, tell people word of mouth. You would feel a weight on top of you. Not sure what you're talking about there. All right, I'm just going to go over and we might have a short show. The question is that do people heal? People want to heal? And it's good that you are dedicating yourself to healing. And those of you that are awakening and those that want to move forward and change your life, you can do that. Um, Again, the shows here is to help you help yourself. When you're able to do so, you will feel more in charge, feel more confident, feel. See, there's a difference between pride and ego's pride. Ah, Vicki. Okay, where is she? There's a difference between ego's pride and spirit pride. When you start to achieve certain things, you can be learning that you can do something. You can be a resolver. You can be having the certain strength, and you can heal yourself, or you can achieve things, and that gives you this self of confidence. So, Vicki, where is Vicki? I don't see her. She's paid, but I don't see her. I think it's this one, but what would you like me to give you a reading on? Now, I feel like we're going to be saying, what does the body, what is the brain predicting for Vicki? Because it's how her body keeps showing up a certain way. And that's the physiology. Why would it show up a certain way? There she is. I think there's like a 20-second delay, even though I have it all, the red line all the way to the end. Did you want to work on the physical? So what I'm looking at for Vicki is that Vicki, um, the body is reacting, living as this particular story, living as this reaction, living as this particular way of being. Is this correct? And does it scare you? Does it feel like you have no control? wow, this reaction, this delay is really long. So while I'm waiting for that, Autumn says, I was referring to the other person. It doesn't know the tone. Weight can be a different, light and heavy. Correct. I would say, yeah. I could say, yeah. I find that so interesting. I bumped into people, a lot of people that have had conversations in their head to me, but not with me. And then when they do see me, they will be wondering why I didn't respond to the conversation they had in their head. And I'll be like, I don't even remember being involved. And I, and they're like, oh yeah, I told you. I'm like, I don't think I was involved. And then when I watch people that never met me, had a conversation or had a relationship with me, and then when they meet me and they're talking to me, it's as if I already should know this relationship. I said, hold on, stop. Have you had a conversation? I would tell them this. I said, so this is the first time we met. So how would I have responded before? How did I show up before that now all of a sudden I'm not showing up the way that you expected, but you had conversations about me in your head that I should be showing up this way. And it's so interesting how we use our brain. Okay. So I'm just going to, we have such a delay reaction. I'm just going to jump in. So I'm looking at how the cells and the outside and how the cells have said that I have to decompose. So the cell says, my instructions is that I am not supposed to support life as much as I am supposed to take the next adventure. And I said, is there a lot of belief systems involved? What's going on? And there's a lot of broadcast energy. And the body is saying that when it picks up the broadcast, it does not know how to really respond to it except for to pull away. And when she starts pulling away, the body then says, I feel like I don't get the support I need. And I said, all right, so what is it that the cells need to do so they can start to live again, so they can start? And they said, it's in my reactions. And I said, so the cells are saying that they're living by the reactions, by the story, by the definitions. So the outside will show up as very aggressive, and it could be that somebody took offense and they're like, oh, and you're like, wait, what? That's a reaction. Okay, so in the reaction, whether it is whatever it is, says that it feels the overwhelm from them. You feel the overwhelm. And your body can't tell the difference between, is that overwhelm mine or is that overwhelm yours? And then the body then says, oh, it must be mine because I can't get rid of it. And so therefore it creates this feedback loop of, here's the feedback, here's the story, then it goes into the correction, and then it changes. So I says, I want the body to know that it can, does the cells believe that it can grow and become healthy? They go, yeah. So we have to look at this auto response, this knee-jerk reaction from the broadcast. What broadcast are you picking up when people get hysterical, when they pitch a fit, or when they go into having a knee-jerk reaction of taking it personal? Now, it can be very mild to very strong. And Vicki, we need to pay attention to this. The body saying that even if your mind is like, yeah, that's just them, and rationalizes it away, the body says that the first time that I picked up that hysterical energy was around 2 years old. And this 2 year old energy has become a habit. And this is what we do. It's a doing habit, habit, habit. And so the broadcast around 2 years old is that when somebody got hysterical, and I said, did they seek approval or were they seeking to control? So they were seeking to control. Did you have to change yourself to fit in? Yes. And to change yourself would be to accept that I'm at fault. So you believe something that may not be true at all, but became your belief, therefore your narrative. And then you will feel that you always have to take certain actions around hysterical people. So if again, the feedback is very much, I'm just going to wait a few seconds, a few minutes to see how, if she responds. This is very important because what her physical body is doing is choosing to not hold the light, to expand it into the cells. The cells need to be open and to take in nourishment, but the cells are closed and pulling away and not able to hold space for her. And we need to help her understand this, and so that she can take the healing and choose to do these healings so she can get her body, everything on the right path. Hopefully that makes sense for people. Her body sees it as very aggressive, the environment. Ah. And while I'm waiting, Lisa Murray would like a reading. Oh, she said, I love your show. Thank you. So we got to get you to not be the program answering, but your higher self to answer. So what you'll need to do is understand that your little felt their energy being broadcasted and into your territory. So it's energy coming at you. I don't know how to respond to that. Oh, that's too scary. Oh my God, it's my fault. Feel that energy. You're going to be able to do R1S, right wrist, first position soft, and you're going to sit there and you're going to measure and you're going to go back in. And if you can't remember 2 years old, you can go back into the very first thing that your soul says, let's address this. Somebody was hysterical, and you could feel that energy. They want you literally to understand that the broadcast energy was like a sonic boom, and they want you to measure that. Okay. Now we're going to work on the physiology as well. And the physiology is I'm in my dark night of the soul. This is that space where you can't be yourself and you're disconnected from spirit, so you can't get help from spirit. And because you can't get help from spirit, you can't do your purpose, you can't your joy, you can't bring in the light. So you're going to think that. And if I said, that, dark night of the soul, and I were to check your spleen, it is wham. Spleen is this immune system, it's the mothering, and it can't do its job. So you are going to hold this here, and you're going to think, dark night of the soul, I'm hopeless, or I'm helpless, or I'm disconnected, I cannot feel spirit. And you're going to measure it, and then you're going to take and you're going to tap the spine, and you're going to take and do the spleen. And again, the spleen has everything to do with T1 at the shoulders, T5 and T9. Okay. And you're going to hold and you're going to tap, breathing in and out 3 times. And then you're going to move to the next one from T1 to T5. And then you do the T9 and you breathe in and out. Help the body so that the cell can go, instead of being afraid going over here, can come back and start to open. Your mother part of your body needs to help you bring in more light so that it doesn't have to feel like it's going anywhere. Do you understand? Okay. Okay, so we have Lisa. Now, I don't know where she's at. I believe she was on the Facebook one, but well, I'm ready to give you a reading. So, or the healing, whichever you choose. Let me just go back to see what she said. She just says, love your show. Thank you. Okay. So did you want something, or was it a gift, or did you want me to exchange something? So first I got to find her. Okay, because some people will want to support, and so they'll say gift support, meaning they want nothing in return. And some people will want to say gift and then say they want a healing, which is something they want to return. Maybe you already had your return. So sometimes I need to know the difference. We'll see where you're at. What's this one? Oh, gotcha. Okay. There you are. I'm good. I don't want anything. Really? Oh, well, thank you very much. So you must have gotten something. Well, I appreciate that, and I feel honored. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully life's going good with you. I hold space for you. Hold space. Um, that's the one thing that I like to do is to teach about how to hold space, how to, like as a healer, you already see somebody whole. And even though somebody's come up and they don't believe that they're whole, their cells are like, oh, I don't believe they're whole. I will still hold that space that you're whole. Now, when you feel that frequency and that energy, you may end up feeling, oh my gosh, yes. Maybe that's all you needed was that type of support. But we need to go from subjective reality to objective reality. And the moment we stop taking it personal, and the moment we stop, oh, there goes my thing again. What's overheating? You're welcome. Um, hold on, my phone is so okay. See, and I have an iPad, but the thing is I don't have the holder, and then I just got to finish taking and investing in something in here. This is so hot. There we go. And I have to wait again. There we go. What is this? October, so September. Yeah, well, soon be in October, which means in Australia it's going to get warmer. Yay. And US, you're going to get colder. We have just come out of, we're in spring right now. So our nights are not so cold. Our plants, some of them, they're like, I don't know if I can make it through this, even though there's no ice or snow. They're still very much warm, loving plants, and they sometimes the cold can really hurt. Less than 2 weeks, you'll be moved. That's exciting. Is it a bigger place, Autumn, or is it smaller? It's more, you said more inside the city? But regardless of where you're going, you have spirit that can help guide you. And the more that you stay on that mystic path, then you don't have to take on the worries of your family. You don't have to take on the worries and the fears because you're already achieving more than what you probably already did before. Okay, I'm going to go get Amy. And I'm excited for about tomorrow's tribe. And how do I shrink this? Okay, there we go. You have a washer and dryer. That is in a dishwasher. I cannot do dishwashers. I cannot do dishwashers. It's the chemicals, it's the wasting of the water, even though we have one, I just don't use it. He doesn't use it either. I used to use mine as a drying machine, but yeah, didn't do that either now. I love a full kitchen. I have to say that's one thing. Is I love an island in my kitchen. And I love a full kitchen, and I got that. And I'm grateful for it. Very grateful for it. Hi, Amber. How are you? We're doing well. We got our next guest. It's Amy. Hi.
Oh,
Yes, it is a very purpley day. That's what I
oh,
felt. And how are you? Good?
I am good. I'm good. I took Mama D to get some groceries today, and she was talking about listening to the news and that and I'm like, Ma, I haven't listened to the news in, X amount of years and all of this. And I I asked her the question, I said, why do you put yourself through the turmoil of listening to the news? And she goes, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a habit. It's just a
The
habit.
habit.
Yeah. I remember when I decided not to listen to the news anymore, I'd get people, well, oh, you got to know what's going on. You got to be, I says, I do I? Do
Yeah.
I? And, so there is that part, it's like that perspective. I don't understand why not. You need to, blah, blah, blah. But it's perspective. And I chose a long time ago to take the mystic path and mystic path. Oh, you just don't listen to the news. Does that mean? No, I only let spirit tell me what I need to know. And that's, if it tells me that I'm supposed to look at the news, I'll look at the news. And if I'm not, I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't need to be programmed. That's why they call programs are on TV because it's
hmm
programmed. All right. So, how can I help you?
Dig in.
Dig in. The one thing before we go, okay, Amber says we have had we had one as well, but don't use it for hand wash. I like especially in winter, how the hot water when I'm doing the dishes just warms you up.
hmm Yep.
And then there's this satisfaction that you know that you're eating off a clean plate
hmm
and that the residue is not on there. I mean, you rinse off but
Yep.
anyway,
I
there's
haven't
this
had a dishwasher since I was probably 12 or 13 years old.
I've always had them, but I've never used them. I don't care to. Um, but anyways, beside that. Okay, so you have been growing, um, which is good. Now, as I'm looking, spirit space. I'm looking at spirits. I don't know why they said the word spirit space. You have been able to be in a different space with your spirit. And how is that working with you, knowing that you're breaking out of the matrix and people are still in it?
It's very interesting to watch because I'm able to see their programs more than I was before.
Okay, so now notice you're also not in your lower self judging them, you're in your higher self and respecting them.
hmm
And when you begin to see their programs and when they take it personal and they're in that subjective reality, have you noticed that you don't have to take and be hurt by it,
hmm Yep, I
even when
have.
they're throwing it? You also been studying about energy pulls and giving. Okay,
hmm
so push broadcasts and pulls, it is to take. And you're learning the difference that you don't have to be influenced. So if you're easily influenced, that means you have a root. You understand?
Yep.
And it does not have to give you your story or trigger you to have your story. When you are in that spirit space and somebody is in that program, The self-talk is coming more from the higher self. Can you feel the pause?
Yeah.
And now you can really say to yourself, hold on, thank you, Spirit. How do I show up? Meaning you don't have to show up the way your programs tell you.
Right.
See, now this is the in tribal. I wanted to make sure people saw that there's levels and things, but then I could not carry it through because if people are asleep, then they'll want to go into competition, comparison, and control or
Mm-hmm.
approval. And it's like, that's,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to show up and look at your stuff, but notice that you need to learn to see it with your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is where you're at. You're beginning to notice that the art of manipulation, some people intentionally do it, some people don't intentionally do it. They just learned it from others, and that's the way relationships are supposed to be. And but there's always this design of fear in some that is, I don't know how to ask for what I want. So I got to figure out how to ask for what I want. And this is the little girl or little boy in people that will speak a certain way and they'll want you to feel sorry for them
Mm-hmm.
or however it is. So when I was out on the road, me and my husband bumped into this homeless guy and we're just chatting away, blah, 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 blah. And as I went to walk away, he did not give me a sad story. He just said, "Well, I'm here. This is what I am." And he was like, "Okay, give me information, chatting with me as just like, this is what's going on." He didn't. And I said, "Hey," I says, "You've been so nice to us and helping out because I was wondering about these questions and things like this." I said, "Would you be offended if I gave you a gift?" He said, "Of course not." He says, and I said, "Well, come into the store, buy yourself some food." And it was such a beautiful exchange because he didn't beg for food. It's not that it's wrong, but his soul was like, "Here I am. This is what I'm doing. This is what you're doing. We're having a wonderful exchange." And the gift of support, I just felt like I needed to balance this out. Now, some people get upset and go, "Well, you know, how do they call it? You can't just take a gift. You just have to throw it back in people's faces." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Why does that perspective have to apply here?" I felt spirit guide me to communicate with this man, and this spirit of this guy, we were both communicating, and we are like, "Hey, I have the ability to help. Do you need any?" So it's like when people are like being guided, "Oh, I gotta buy this milk for this person. I'm gonna go pick it up and take and drop it off." And then all of a sudden the mother goes, "Oh my God, Jess, my baby, I just used the last of the milk and thank you so much. Now my baby's got food." It's sometimes you operating from the spirit
Mm-hmm.
of taking action, not because you feel sorry for the person, it's because spirit guided in such a unique way. You just showed up and they knew to some degree, they knew that you were going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this spirit exchange that happens on a unique level. See, now you're starting to notice that in an unscripted life, when you go to do something and life shows up, you don't have to go, "Oh, I can't deal with this. I can't cope with this. I don't want," you don't have to play those games and stories.
Mm-mm.
You
No, you don't.
start to enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a big difference.
It
And you're
does.
beginning to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But could you have seen it several years ago?
No.
But how do you know the difference now?
It's brighter. It's like spirit shows it to you like a sore thumb. It sticks out differently.
Right? And you reading it different
Mm-hmm.
because your higher self, can you tell the difference between if your higher self is in charge or your lower self's in charge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like there were several times today where I'm like, huh, like on our way there, there was a car that went zooming around me.
Hmm.
And, I was going well above the speed limit myself, not too far above, but well above. And this car goes zooming past me. And, within probably 2 miles, there's a stop sign. And I got to the stop sign at pretty much the exact same time.
Mhm.
And they had to sit and wait for
Right,
the traffic. Whereas when I got there, they were able to go, and then I was able to go right away.
right.
Where, and then same thing on the way home. There was a car behind me that kept me going a little bit faster. But then there was one that was behind them and went zooming around, but again, got stopped at the stop sign.
And what's the importance of this story?
It's, it's that they're not being in the moment. They're rushing to get to somewhere faster than anybody else. It's like
Okay, that's one perspective.
they're trying to they're trying to get somewhere faster. They're just trying to do their life faster because they think that that's what they need to do.
Okay. And if we look at another perspective, is that it was their choice. And there's nothing wrong with the choice. Hopefully it's not harming anybody. But you beginning to see, oh, I don't really need to speed up or go faster or pass anybody because because sometimes it's like I have to be first. I have to, and it's all these different types of energy fields. But when you start to notice that you're driving in the lane of your mystic path,
Hmm.
then there's this calmness and you get to see people's choices. It isn't right or wrong, good or bad. It's just choices. And you can all begin to notice that you arrive maybe at the same place, or one could be smoother. Now, sometimes people like to gun it because they like feeling like, yeah, I want to be in a race car,
Hmm. Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
And but it's wherever they want to do. But the realization that, yeah, I used to do that. Now, this is where it's important. Why would you need to do that? Did you feel that you had to take it personal, that you had to gun it? Did you have to be that the first person to in a drag race to win? Is it somebody you don't want somebody? What is the competition? What is the comparison? What is that in the past?
In the past, it was like I could not stand to be behind someone because my dad was a slow driver because he was a bus driver.
So now there's the story. Now there's the root. Now she's seen that there's differences, why people pass, why people do it. We arrive at the same place, but is there still a root? Now, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think there's still a small root there.
Okay, so notice that you had an experience that you didn't like. So one, you took it personal.
Hmm.
But why did you need to take it personal? Why did you have to judge it in such a way that that's slow? Did you learn it from somebody else?
Yeah, because my
Oh,
mom had a lead foot.
okay. Now, so somebody else told you that what he was doing was wrong
Hmm.
and that you're not supposed to like it.
Right.
But now you're the one that's driving at your pace. Somebody's going to come up behind you because the story was equal to, oh, slow driver.
Hmm.
Now, did you feel when they were behind you, did you feel their energy try to push you to drive faster?
Hmm.
So is that why you went a little faster?
Well, no, I like sitting at 62.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is did you feel like you didn't get the energy because if you've been doing your spirit, your tribal basic energies, your orbit does not have to be influenced with
I
an
wasn't
interference.
influenced by their panic, their, oh my God, she's going too slow. I didn't feel any of that.
Now, your RTJP, to think what other people think, you're also evolving, which means, did you have these thoughts that, oh, they're thinking this about me?
Um, at one point, yes, but then I did the zip up in my head and it stopped just like that.
Good. So when we take energy and balance the energy field, our orb, our orbit, and we change that internet connection, which is with the higher self, and you change that internet, you will then be able to have a more of a mystic path. You'll have more of this energy field. So you don't have to be influenced with an interference pattern. And no matter, and it's none of our business.
Mm-mm.
Because I would usually, when I didn't have my energy in space, and then my governing meridian was down, I would absorb an energy from the back. I would get angry, but it wasn't my anger. I
Mm-hmm.
would want to go faster because somebody's behind me. And why am I taking their interference pattern on? I need to become the bigger interference pattern. And so it'd be like, no. So then I learned to balance my energies. But then I learned how to change my physiology, not having to respond to it in the first place, which now I'm holding the space completely different, which means I don't have to influence them. They don't have to influence me. But then they can zig and I can zag. So what that is saying is that, is there something on a physiology pattern, that conditioned process that you can feel when people are invading your space? And it's like, yes, I can. And I said, so they're invading your space on an emotional level. So emotions of vibration, which emotions are magnetic. If you have that emotion in you, you're going to magnetically attract people to show it. But in the same, vice versa, in the same thing. So I said, so what emotional is learned? Okay, so this is interesting. So you learned like to be indifferent. Now, there's a difference between indifference, spiritual indifference, and hold on here. Whoa, whoa, whoa! It's going to scream in a minute. Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do this course eventually, but anyway, we're going to look up indifference. We're going to learn the file, the cabinet. We're going to lack of interest, concern, or sympathy. She shrugged, feeling indifference. Lack of sympathy, a lack of concern. Now, a lack of. Now, in this case, spiritually, is that you don't have to have the lack of. You just don't take it personal. You don't even have to notice it. But at the same time, your aura in the scalar field can be a softening. So when they come up, they expect you to respond, or they expect you to get angry, or they expect something. And in their mind, you're going to have to act accordingly, even though you don't. But if you change your field to hold a indifference, to hold, that's not kind of what I want. What word do you think is the best word here? Learning to hold space on the level of, let's see what, come on, spirit, show me the page, because I swear to God, they stick together here. They're getting so old. Fulfilled. So you're being fulfilled. You don't have to. So I watched how this one person would be frustrated, and then I'd come in the space and they'd get more frustration from my existence. So then I went in, I said, so I need to change a physiology in me. So I don't have to provoke that or see that or have to become that. And so I changed that frequency in me. And so now I am more coming in as a softening. So as I'm there, they noticed, wow, you got a calming effect. Wow. So it's a softening. And you will show up as not interfering with anything. And that is where you now have to understand that the mirror effect is I can't behave the way I want. So if you are listening to someone saying they can't behave the way they want, that means they can't resolve. So they have to cope, handle, deal, pacify, and that's not working. And they said that you would come in, used to come in as timid. I said, used to, that means does she come in as timid now? No. So part of your awakening is that you come in and you're not showing up as timid. They are not going to have to show up as being that they don't trust or going in the dark night of the soul or having to come in as hysterical. Have you seen that result from the healings that you've been doing? Good. This is a very important part of your level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're breaking out of the matrix, but you're also rewriting a new one. And they said, now you will feel their awkwardness, you will feel where their root of energy is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that you can show up again is very much I don't want to say indifference, it's not the word I want. You can show up as a greater understanding that
Mm-hmm.
can hold space that they can have something greater than where they are. Now, a lot of people feel like they're out of that you're not like-minded, you're not in there. So again, you're holding the space that it's okay for who and what they want to classify themselves as. But you will also have this twinkle or this glimmer that will help them awaken. So you got new keys and codes that you're carrying. Instead of going, I can't receive love, meaning you used to carry love unreceived. I would do all these things, I would all of this, and love was unreceived. And I said, is that still true? You're holding your path? They go, a little. And so you'll resonate people that will come to you. So you'll have the live experience where they'll do and say, hey, I've done all this and I just don't feel like my love is received.
Mm-hmm.
It may not necessarily be to you, but they may be sharing an
It
experience.
happened on my show. It happened on my show last night.
Okay. Now, as you begin to see this, understand that you're also going to start seeing people fighting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This isn't your typical reading that we've been doing for, for years here. This is a new level of you on your mystic path as your higher self, more your higher self, without having to be yanked by taking it personal, knee jerking. You're learning to see differently. So you will start to see the patterns and the old matrix in a unique way. And you don't have to go into judgment, but you can actually then be able to say, oh, I can see and have it. I can help people see these stories.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is that when you feel like you're uninterested, be aware that you will be, that's not even what I want to say either. They're using the word ho-hum, that you'll be like, oh, I just want to disconnect from these people. That
Makes
is actually, okay, this is the root that needs to be seen, because why would you need them there? Why would you need to see that energy? Okay. And how do I put this? So if you're like, okay, I just don't want to be around these people, they think this way or do this, you're going to be at a new stage that on a humanistic, earthly conditioned process, you will feel another perspective of feeling deficient by what's called feeling that you're dishonored.
okay.
Now, meaning when you are feeling dishonored, you'll feel that people will bring there'll be shame and disgrace. So if we look up the word dishonor, to bring shame or disgrace, to fail to observe or respect. This is where, let's take the other one, fail to observe or respect. That means your conditioned mind cannot hold the space for you to say, I'm going to hold this for you. So you have to become aware that the next stage is that you don't want to be going into, can't do people today, or your spirit, because you're at a new level, has to look at a new perspective, because you're opening this kaleidoscope of perspective. And so when you begin to observe these and understand these, you're going to move into a higher and respect.
Okay.
So if they're doing this, they're acting this way, you don't have to go, okay, they're not listening or whatever. That's on you. That means you're not understanding from this new perspective. I don't know how to explain this to you, except for you will get different stages of people. So let's say some people just stay in their programs and they have to make sure they compare, they are in competition, and they want the whole world to see that they're millionaires, even though they don't have two dimes to rub together. They have to, and you know that they use gameplays and all of this because they can, and they believe that it's important that they do these things, because this is what TV shows, say, hey, this is what a human's supposed to be. And you are going to be going, okay, I don't need to do that anymore. I don't want to be around these people. You're not dropping them like flies. But the thing is when somebody comes to you and they can't see their own programs, you need to realize that you can. And you have to do it with a discernment space. So you're moving into a different space. Which means you still have to give up an old part that says that I'm supposed to gossip, share, and all this. You're going to be also moving into feedback, learning, correction, or whatever it is, and then retake the action. So it is, this is what I observed. So your discernment, observation, and communication is going to be at a different and higher level. So you may not be able to communicate with the other people the same way. But you also aren't going to be controlled by the way, because approval and controlling is not really in your vocabulary like it used to.
Yeah, right.
But there is this fun side. Now, let me just explain this. People are going to see you, like when you watch people at the store and they have uniforms on, and then you see them outside, you're like, I know you. It's because they're not in their uniform. But if you were to talk to them, you would want to relate to them in their uniform, and they're like, but I'm more than just my job.
Yeah.
So when people see me, I live and breathe, walk and talk it and dream it. But there's also a part of me that jokes and does these things, but I don't lose who I am. And so I will be observing and respecting from the discernment space. I'm just not having to be a vending machine for those that think that you do readings? Oh, well, give me one.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a puppet for play. But at the same time, you're going to have other people that don't want to know that about you. And they want you to conform into the way they do things. So your power of choice about what you want to do, you're going to be changing out. You won't have a lot because you don't have anybody really living in your space.
Right.
I know this is a total different reading than you've ever had before. So it's not really anything that has to be healed as much as you're changing your observation. You're changing the reasonings. So like when that guy passed you could say, oh, yes, this is it. But there's another perspective, and there'll be another perspective, and there'll be another perspective. But do you have to follow the interference patterns? And what you said was, I don't have to. But I used to see how I would, but I'm not doing it. And I would have done that, and that's why he did that. But then there's another reason. And then when you're like, oh, wait a minute. So So you have to change the way you learn things. So this is why we had this discussion today. So it's how you learn. So you want to learn with your higher self, not with the lower self. Because the lower self is just going to use its old way of doing it and never let you learn. That's what your reading is for today.
It makes a lot of sense seeing the things we saw today and communications with people. It's changing how I'm seeing, like, the neighbor across the street. They left for week and a half or something, I don't know. And she had full intentions of communicating with me before they left what she wanted me to do. Well, she sent me a text. I'm like, that's all I needed.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so she was apologizing for not having me over for coffee or whatever to tell me what she wanted me to do. And I'm
Well,
like,
right. Certain rituals and things like
mhm,
this, and the way they show up as the human can be very important. But at the same time, it's okay that we don't have the same traditions in the same way.
mhm.
It's okay to be something else. Um, anyway, you had a very interesting.
Very interesting reading. I'll have to go back and rewatch it.
You'll have to, because it's like it's like I can't, this is the stuff I'd like to put in books, but it's like I haven't really, so more and more people, because the universe is supporting this, that you do not have to, because we are now changing the way our chakras are holding data now. Our first three is always about survival, and that you got to have that human experience, and you can't hold the light and blah blah blah. But we're changing the. It's changing. That's all I can tell you at this point. I just know that I woke up this morning. It was like, ah, yes, we have to. Here's a shape. We have to fit ourselves into that shape. So we have to alter ourselves to fit into that shape. And then Spirit goes, no. Oh, so the difference between what we're teaching is that you either alter yourself or evolve. Well, I'm here to help you evolve so that you can evolve into the shape without having to sacrifice any part of you. It means you have to change your state of mind, your state of being, the state of who's in charge.
Hmm.
So no longer are we really having to fit into the shape.
Mm-mm.
We can change the interference patterns and change the way we shape ourselves. So, and that was very important, because you're like, well, here's the frequency. Look at all these little sands taking shape. But you can also have a frequency without having to have such an interference pattern. You can hold the space, and it can look at you and go, oh, I want that. And so we are now, more of that's now being allowed on the planet, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for your time.
You.
And thank you for the energy exchange. And we will talk to you um, tomorrow on Tribal. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. I love you, hon. All
Love you too.
right. Bye. All right. Today was a huge day, because in the terms of communication, there's more ways of bringing through, for me, because everything's done in waves, different floats of people and different flows. Pablo, I've already been here, done this, and we've done this several times around, because the life is a spiral. But here I am, able to give you a deeper translation, so that when you get to wake up, you can go, wait a minute, I can make a better choice based on who's in charge, my program self or my higher self, my lower mind or my higher mind. You get to choose. All right. Usually at this point, not many people are new coming in. So, but if you are here and you have been listening, and here's your last chance to get a free reading if I've never given you a reading before. Okay. But if you quickly, you're like, oh, but man, I want to pay 5 or 15 or 25, let me know so that I don't end the program and we have issues. So I'm just going to give a few more minutes. So you guys can learn that the more I talk, the more it's about when I say hashtag resolve to evolve. We're here to resolve. We're resolvers. We have an unscripted life. And that part of that unscripted life should not be run by our conditioned lower self. Your higher self should pop in. You should be able to have peace while you're doing the things you need to do. And you're like, hey, well, I keep attracting this in. How about if I heal the roots so I don't have to attract these stories in? So I don't have to attract these stories in. Oh, you guys are doing really well. Just double checking with everything. And that's all good there. So tomorrow in Tribal will be fun. Would I have to pay to ask for a point on? Davin, it's you. It's okay. So what is it that you need? Well, this isn't about favoritism. It's about different ways of being and her way of being. I'm there to support in the best way I can. So boredom understanding, it is your disconnection from your spirit. It is. So if I asked, are you connected to your spirit? And the answer that I'm getting is that no, you're not really connected to your spirit. I said, is your spirit connected to your body 100%? The physiology, the body's physiology is disrupting, so you don't really get to hear from your higher self. And I said, so what would be the best? And they said, well, if she were to do physiology, Davin can turn around and note, okay, so I'm looking, wow, your body says there's a bullying effect. You're so used to having out there affect who you are and your communication with your higher self that it creates this is why you feel bored. This is why because you can't really, because the outside's telling you a certain way of being. So then what I want you to do is I want you to say, yes, I'm being bullied, or I'm being told, I'm being scorned, I'm being, outside is telling me that I can't, like, say, be me, or I can't really connect with I can't really do what I want to do. So it's not necessarily boredom. You're just very much don't want to do what you're doing, but you have to do what you're doing because that's where you're at. And so if we change the way the body is showing up, they said, you think of bully, you take either hand, put your hand here, drop the finger so it touches the top as well. You're going to get, if you can use a tool or your hand or a wall, the door jams, then what you're going to do is you're going to go to T3 and then T6. And notice where it is in association with the upper body. Okay. And so you're going to hold like this. You're going to breathe in and out 3 times, and you're going to T3, and you're going to breathe in and out, and you're going to focus on being bullied, feeling that energy controlling you, whether it's from behind or in front. And then you're going to make sure after you breathe in and out 3 times at T3, you're going to do the same thing at T6. Just make sure I'm correct on this. Yeah. And then you're doing it again. Now we want the physiology to start to work with, because see, it's always happened, starts on the spiritual, mental, and emotional, and then the physical gets programmed and conditioned. So we want to reverse that. And then once you get that, then they want you to heal that you have to be deprived in order. You had to fit into the world that you have. You had to deprive yourself. And you're like, So you don't want to do that anymore. So you want to go right wrist, second position. Okay. Put your thumb there, and you're going to push in nice and deep, finger in the palm, safety, security, stability. And you're going to sit there just like this, and you're going to think about measure deprived. Like, what is the meaning of deprived? Or notice that you have to feel deprived. There's a story that goes with being deprived. And it's the story and the feeling and the knowing And the pictures and all of this that's about being deprived, begin to heal that out. Okay, Damon? Because I asked, is your spirit connected to your body? And it said, yes. I said, is the body connected to spirit? Yes. I said, but they said the wedge doesn't allow the communication process. So you have to keep doing what other people tell you to do. And that's why you have the two particular healings for this thing that you asked. Okay, Devin? It's good to see you, hon. Double checking everything. Oh, we've had a good day. And hashtag resolve to evolve. Hashtag heal instead of deal. Hashtag mystic path. And I want you to know that you can have your higher self be in charge instead of your lower program self. You can do this. You got this. And I will hold that space for you. Okay? I will hold that space for you. And know that you're going to make a commitment, not a promise. Commitment means that you're going to show up and you're going to do it. And then as you create and you do it, this is a discipline. So you show up, you do it, and you hear your lower program self going, oh, I don't want to do it. You need to rise higher with your higher self going, I don't need to listen to that program. Now, this is where you can do an active EFT around of it, that feeling, that state, but you don't have to hear the program. You don't have to obey what your lower self says. Take the power back. Take the power back and commit to your thriving. I thought my boredom got even worse during your surgery healing because you were physically limited. And the physical body was saying, oh, yeah, you did have your operation. Okay, everything going good? It's been a while since we've chatted, Devin. So hopefully it's going well. But when the physical body's hurt, your program self will whine more. And then when the body begins to repair, you have to be, if you can't really take care of yourself, other people's interference patterns of what they think, they believe, and all of that will interfere, and then you'll be more like them than you want to be yourself. Yeah, been able to walk for a few weeks now. Yay! That's awesome. One step closer, as Autumn would say, next stepping stone. You are getting to that next part where you will be able to have an apartment on your own, and because you are going to be able to show more success to have this. This is wonderful. This is so wonderful. Thank you, Spirit. And Davin, good job. Keep growing. Keep growing. Because you can end up like all the rest of us that have our place, our own. We'll have to have the surgery again, but not on the other, but on the other foot. Okay, but one stepping stone at a time. You're doing great. All right. Yes, my phone says this device is overheating and it's going to cause issues with your program. Yes, I'm aware of that. It's the program. It's zaps. I'm wondering if I can get a light version of TikTok so that it doesn't take so much power and juice. Is there a light TikTok that you can download so you can just do your shows? Yeah, and when I had to walk, I got this burst of feeling I can walk. Oh, Davin, that's so beautiful for your brain because then your brain goes, oh, I can do this. And the brain program that I can do this gives you more self-esteem, more support to your goal. And just keep being grateful and keep holding that, keep measuring that, and just know that you can apply that wonderful feeling with your other foot. Yeah, I got this. Now, don't be, once you program, if your lower self goes, oh man, I can't because of this foot, even though this the other one's better, don't negate that. Say, nope, I'm gonna I have this. I've got this. My other foot's gonna get done and it's all gonna be good. It's all going to be good. Like, I'm already excited. I know that I have to do my ceremonial process to become a dual citizen. But it's already done. Even though it hasn't happened yet, I can be excited and I know it's finished. And I know that, it's, live in this, how do you want to put it? I got a disturbance here. Hold on. Gotcha. Um, wow. Okay, that energy came in and just, but anyways, good job. Keep going. Hold that space. Hold that space for yourself. Know that you're going to have great success. The outcome is good because you've already got a picture of what it feels like. Especially, oh, I can walk. That feeling you can measure again, and you can keep putting it into your space so that you can say, "Oh, there it is." There it is. And then when you catch up with that moment in time, you will feel this extra exuberancy. Like, I know that I'm excited. I know. And I don't go, I can't wait. It is, the time is, this is how long I have to wait. That's fine. I don't have to use my lower self to judge the moment. I can be my higher self and say, ooh, this is wonderful. What am I going to wear? What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? So that's where I'm at. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And we will talk to you later. You're already blessed. You're already whole. So stay blessed.